Hey YouTube, welcome back. In today's video we're going to be looking at several facts about the Apollo missions to the moon. There are still, unfortunately, a lot of people who don't believe that we really went to the moon. This is not going to be an exhaustive list by any means, as it's only a few points, but we will look at some answers to some common concerns that people have. But before we get started, I'd like to take a moment to ask you to please hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. Now, if you don't believe that we went to the moon, that's okay with me. I mean, we can still be friends. I find different opinions and conspiracy theories fascinating and entertaining, but maybe this video will nudge you in the right direction in this fascinating matter. Just to be clear, I do believe that we went to the moon, and I'm a big fan of NASA, and I fully support space exploration. 12 humans have walked on the moon at this point in human history. Some of the information that I'm sharing came straight from an interview with Charlie Duke, who was the lunar module pilot for Apollo 16 back in 1972. He was talking about some common points brought up by moon landing deniers. The guy just doesn't seem like a compulsive liar to me, so let's just get started. And if you watch to the end of the video, I got a special treat. Apollo 16 took roughly 3 days to reach the moon, traveling at about 6,000 miles per hour. Many people wonder, well, how could they carry enough fuel to reach the moon and back? Well, that's a great question. They're thinking. Well, the answer is there's no super gravitational pull or air resistance in space. So we really only need fuel. The only reason you need fuel is to take off, to leave the Earth's atmosphere, and to fire the anti-thrusters in order to slow down once they start to approach the moon. You can throw a tennis ball at the moon from space practically, and it will eventually get there if you have good aim, unless something slows it down or if it hits something. In fact, they could have reached the moon in as little as 12 hours, but they would have been going way too damn fast for the anti-thrusters to slow them down once they approached. So instead of, we need more power, it's like, we need less power. In fact, so the rocket was shot out from the opposite side of the Earth from what was facing the moon at launch, so that the Earth's gravity could slow them down. And so to make just an example of that, we'll use our imaginations to pretend that this lacrosse ball is the planet Earth. So this is their rocket. And everybody gets inside, and they do the countdown, and they take off. So and then once they get to the Earth's into orbit, they went around like this, using the gravitational pull of the Earth to slow them down. So by the time they got, started heading out towards outer space, they had been slowed down by Earth's gravity, and they continued their journey all the way until they reached the moon. And then, when they got close to the moon, they used their anti-thrusters to slow them down so that they could slow down and make a safe landing. Therefore, they really only needed fuel to take off and slow down, as something moving in space is just going to keep right on going until a force acts upon it to slow it down, or again, if it happens to hit something. Another reason people give for not believing in the moon landings is that the sky looks suspiciously dark in the photos that NASA offered, and the ground kind of looked like there's stage lights lighting it up. Well, the reason why it looks like that, why the sky looks black on the moon, is because there's no atmosphere, so it doesn't turn blue. It's the molecules that are in the Earth's atmosphere that scatter the light, which makes our sky look blue. On the moon, however, it may look like stage lights pointing down because the moon is what reflects light from the sun. The moon reflects light so bright that they have to have their face shields specially made to reflect infrared light while letting in visible light by blocking electromagnetic radiation, which is given off by the sun. One method that NASA used for this is by coating the visors with gold. This is why the ground looks so bright and the sky looks black in the photos that NASA has offered from when they went to the moon. Another concern people have is the temperature fluctuations. Hot and cold on the moon being very inhospitable to humans. The Apollo 16 landed in an area of the moon called the Descartes Highlands, which was 185 degrees Fahrenheit at the time of landing, with the sun angled at 45 degrees. NASA designed their thermal spacesuits with water in their backpack, pumping, I don't know what it's actually called, but their backpack, that with the water in their backpack and pumping around hoses all around their body around the astronaut, which could then be released through a blow valve, and then the water would just be released into space. This regulated the astronauts' body temperature while they were inside the thermal suits. Another common reason people have for not believing NASA is the fact that we haven't gone back to the moon since 1972. They wonder why we haven't gone back to the moon. Well, the reason why we haven't gone back is because the Apollo missions were so super successful that they actually canceled the last 3 missions that they had planned. Missions 18, 19, and 20. Canceled. There's no need to do it. The reason why they did this was for budget reasons, so they could spend the money that they have and focus on moving to the space shuttle program. And now they're focusing on the International Space Station. But don't worry, though, because NASA does plan to go back in the future with the Artemis missions. And I'm not sure I'm saying that right, but Artemis missions. Artemis. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but we'll call it the Artemis missions for the sake of this video. The pictures and video that NASA takes this time during the Artemis missions are going to be much better due to the technology that we have now. The future of space travel is super exciting to me, and people have already been selected for these missions. NASA hopes to fly 4 people around the moon without landing in roughly 2026, and are hopefully planning an actual return to land on the moon somewhere around mid-2027. Now with NASA, there's usually some delays. It's understandably common because they have a lot of safety precision needs on the equipment and environmental conditions, but it's already being worked on and all being planned out for the near future. Finally, I have something really cool to share with you from my personal collection, as I said in the beginning of this video. We have a very good family friend whose late husband, Torrance Bowen, was an engineer for Apollo 11. He assured her that we absolutely did go to the moon. And we know the family very well, and he was not a liar. This is his achievement award for his service to humankind. And the people who were on Apollo 11 were Neil Armstrong, Michael Collins, and Edwin Aldrin Jr. So this is Torrance Bowen's Achievement Award. Now, I know there's glare and stuff, but if you want to take a closer look at it, you could just press stop and read it for yourself. So it says, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration presents the Apollo Achievement Award to Torrance W. Bowen. In appreciation of dedicated service to the nation as a member of the team, which has advanced the nation's capabilities in aeronautics and space and demonstrated them in many outstanding accomplishments, culminating in Apollo 11's successful achievement of man's first landing on the moon, July 20th, 1969. And it is signed at Washington, D.C. by the NASA administrator. And there's another cool thing about this, is that if you look right here, you'll see a squiggle. That is Neil Armstrong's pen swipe. So Torrance was friendly and talked to Neil Armstrong, was on friendly terms with them. And so it's not the best example of one of Neil Armstrong's signature, as it is kind of just like a colleague swipe. Torrance knew it was real. Neil Armstrong knew it was real. It was that. But that's just pretty cool. It's a pen swipe from Neil Armstrong. And so thank you for watching. Please hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, and as always, keep learning, keep thinking, and have a great day, people.